Got a question last night via email about the arc step. Okay, and the arc step is basically part of Apache. And what the guy asked me was, if the center arcs, can the backside guard, shuffle? And to me, what we're really talking about is the point of attack. Okay, let's we have C gap run here. Okay. Anything outside the read spot is match, and that line should probably be a little wider. Hang on a second. I'm going to change it. Okay, outside of the read spot is match, and what that means is if we have leverage on a guy, we want to give him the illusion of getting hooked, but we don't want to give up the leverage to the read spot. Okay. Then there's the stovepipe where we think that the back can make these two blockers right or correct, no matter what they do in terms of the defenders moving around. But what we want to do is make those defenders disappear by covering them up. And we use various techniques, to scoot, what have you. But we think that the back can go from the edge of the stovepipe all the way back to here without affecting or disaffecting the bubble blockers, the guys that have to get to the linebackers. And then this is the Apache. These are the encircle people. All right, I'm gonna. These are the people that use the arc step. Okay, and I'm just going to go through exactly what I say to a center. You're going to arc, and some people you could try skipping. I let my guys skip when they're uncovered, if they're good enough to snap the ball and not put it on the ground. But in any event, the Apache or the encircling of the defender, we just don't want the defender to get into the stovepipe. Now, if he's going to encircle and establish leverage, then he's got to encircle and he's got to encircle. And what we try to do is because we need a hat on hat in C gap run, we try to block it as a box. I'm talking about the odd spacing. So in this case, against an odd spacing, we're 3 for 3. We're going to Apache this end to keep him from pursuing and get him cut off. That was the word that we used to use, cut this guy off. But we're also in charge of anything that runs through, loops back, whatever, and so on. If this nose goes with the center will find himself in the stovepipe. And so now he doesn't have to worry. He's just going to cover, okay, and tear. We think that center, if he winds up with the nose in the stovepipe, he can tear him across to the read spot, and the back will make him right or correct. If this man lags, we want the center to stuff him back to the Apache guard. Okay, and of course, if the Apache guard gets the encircle on this guy, okay, then the center can work his way up to the backer. So it's still 3 for 3. Okay. Now the question of shuffling here, he's never going to catch up to the center. If this guy arcs, which is speed, okay, we're getting there, we're circling, and he doesn't circle, we got a problem. You can cut your split, do it, whatever, but if you can't get this guy encircled, okay, he's going to seam you. He's going to split the thing, and he'll be in the backfield. Okay, that's why we do it. Now, old school, uh, B gap run. Um, we would just take and shift everything back. Okay, so the read spot is here, or even play side A gap, the read spot is here. Okay, and so the Apache thing was very limited. Again, if this guy was encircling and he wound up in the stovepipe, he would just work for cover and tear this guy across. But it'd be 5 for 5, and all of our techniques are now shuffle is exactly what we're looking for. because we're in the stovepipe here, so we're going to cover. Okay, this guard, the backside guard, will shuffle, and what he's trying to do is prevent the run through, give the center help by hammering. Okay, because we really don't like the idea of the center blocking this guy by himself. You know, I talked to some guys. They say, yeah, yeah, we do it all the time. I don't know, maybe. Um, but we went to this against Alabama in '06, and we were able to knock this guy over, define him, get him out of the two gap thing, put him over here, and seam the ball behind him. But the idea of shuffling that we could rewind and shut this guy off if this guy back gaps, and even if we don't have a spike here, okay, we can shut it off, okay, and make the backer come back to us. And of course, if the backer hit it, we'd have an exchange between the guard and the tackle. But this was B gap, and I coached 5 for 5 for forever. You know, 1-on-1 to the 5 guys on 5 guys. And when I went to Lewisburg, okay, of all places, they had a different approach. The coordinator there was running basically what I've determined as accordion and veer. So by doing this and moving the read spot to here, which you could argue is zone this way or duo this way. Okay, we get a double team, a chip and a cover, and we're trying to flip this guy or double team and bring him to that spot. We're going to get a chip and cover here. Okay, we're either going to read this guy or block him with somebody else. Here's your Apache, here's your stovepipe, and here's the match. And of course, the techniques we're using are dig, chip, cover, cover and flip them. Okay, if you can flip them onto that guy, then it's the double team moves that way. And what we found with this is we can be very very physical on this guy over and over and over again. And what we're doing is we're blocking 5 with 6, but we've got this guard available for anybody that any overhang that tries to fold on this thing. And of course, if there's any spikes, we get it all picked up. We get the run through. We get every blitz picked up, and we're really being physical here. We're taking a lot of pressure off of him, and you know, I think it's the way to go. And it's certainly if you're going to run duo, that is the way to go. You got a bunch of blockers. NFL they put about 18 guys here, and they just everybody Apaches. So that the shuffle the shuffle was for a reason. It slowed you down and kept you square. Okay. The arc was for a reason. It got you to encircle, and the skip we found out was just as good as the arc. Um, skip Apache was just as good as arc Apache. The difference being that skip Apache kept you square. It was a little harder to get low and get that low shoulder. What we did when I smartened up was we would skip and then lower that shoulder, so essentially a shoulder roll. So anyway, I don't know if that answers that question. I thought it was a pretty good question, pretty interesting, but it's the techniques are married to these areas. Okay, when we first learned the zone, everybody stepped the same way, did the same thing. The back had to make them right. I think that was good stuff. Some people still do it. Some people they just bang a left and head out for the hills and whatever they run into. I think against 8-man fronts, you see a lot of people just run off the ball because they've got an angle on everybody. They're blocking down to the outside. And what they do is they push the whole defense over and isolate the read key. The back invariably winds up winding it back. The problem is when these guys back gap. The back gap and the two gap is everything that I do handles back gap and two gap, I think, better than anything else. That's why I'm not coaching. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. I see people using it, so I feel good. Hope you use it. Bye.